Harry's wife, where has she been? Where has the Duchess of Overseas been? Where has the Duchess of Industrial Beige been frequenting? Has she perhaps been heading out for a sizzler salad? Or maybe she's been cozying up with some new bestie that we've yet to detect, as she relentlessly tries to find somebody who will be friends with her, given that so many people amongst the A-list are distancing themselves from her. Well, Alison Boshoff of the Daily Mail believes that she knows the reason why Harry's wife hasn't been at Harry's side as of late. So let us dive in and analyse this and find out if this is accurate with regard to the behaviours of the narcissist. They are, as she famously recounted, like the conjoined palm trees on their Monty Shitshow lawn, profoundly connected. Indeed, so much of the mythology and branding of Harry and Harry's wife's new philanthropic post-royal life has been built on this one central image. H&M, an inseparable intertwined unit, portraying their unique rock-solid bond as existing on a higher emotional plane than that occupied by most mere mortals. Of course, this is the sense of ownership that you know of listeners to my work, whereby she subconsciously owns him, that he belongs to her, that he is simply an extension of her, that is bolted on and is used as and when required. Yet as Harry has embarked on his most significant project to date, the record-breaking best-selling memoir Spare, he's done it mostly solo. Harry's wife is nowhere to be seen. The former actress hasn't once accompanied him on his exhaustive tour of TV studios and interviews to promote the book, despite undeniably excelling at life in the spotlight. When one considers how nervous Harry is about public speaking, as he explains himself in Spare, and given the extraordinarily high stakes of what he had to say, on tricky subjects as wide-ranging as being physically attacked by his brother to his frostbitten manhood, it seems unusual that his normally ever-present wife remains firmly behind the scenes. He even wrote a tribute to Harry's wife in Spare, saying, "This book would have been impossible, logistically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, without you." Permission granted to barf. Most things would be impossible without you. Surely then, at this point of all points, he would need Harry's wife by his side. So where is she? The couple have not been seen in public together since December the 7th in New York, where they received the Robert F. Kennedy Nipple of Grope Award for their work on racial justice and mental health. Harry was grimacing and grinning in a lounge suit, while Harry's wife dazzled in white, wearing an aquamarine ring which once belonged to Princess Diana. No, Diana, Princess of Wales. Some believe that Penguin Random House, Harry's publishers, would have expected Harry's wife to be more visible of late to help push the book's sales. Well, if any sense, they would think don't. She's likely to cause people to not want to buy it. One senior media executive tells me, what most people have concluded is that Penguin would have told her from the get-go that Harry needed to be front and centre during his book tour, that it's his journey and that he needs to shine. However, most people also know that the two of them together generates far more headlines. All famous couples do, and I cannot imagine Penguin would have wanted her to be quite this absent. Since they were last seen in public, of course, their 6-hour-long Netflix series has shown them on the small screen sitting side by side, linking hands, soupily and soppily inseparable. But Harry's wife wasn't present on or off camera during his interviews with ITV's Tom Bradby and CNN's Anderson Cooper. These two set-piece sit-down chats were actually filmed in the week before Christmas, in the £5,700 a night Churchill Cottage at the San Isidro Ranch in Monte Shitshow, California. We know that Harry's wife loves it there. It was the venue for her interview and photo shoot with the Hollywood Bible Variety in October. However, she wasn't anywhere on the property when Harry poured his heart out in those two lengthy TV interviews, sources say. Similarly, when Harry faced the quick wit of Stephen Colbert on The Late Show on the eve of Spare's publication in New York, he was without his wife, who was neither there to pep him up beforehand or to decant his experience afterwards. Into this vacuum has emerged a wide variety of theories. The internet, as one would expect, is ablaze with unfounded, cruel, and hysterical suggestions for the reasons for Harry's wife's whereabouts. Others in the mainstream media have posited ideas too. The Daily Telegraph's Victoria Ward suggested last weekend that media-savvy Harry's wife was more circumspect about the concept of memoir and may have raised gentle concerns about whether it was the right move. Yet I can reveal that Harry's wife's public absence is something more strategic, not born out of vague concerns, least of all any sort of schism in their relationship. Indeed, they have been as together as ever in private, apparently spending the festive season, having immolated the reputations of the royal family, enjoying family time at Baker's Bay in the Bahamas. No, Harry's wife's retreat from the public eye is, say well-placed sources, part of a carefully considered three-pronged PR approach to neutralize some critics, as well as to lay the ground for future lucrative projects. First and foremost, I'm told that Harry's wife's absence was planned to escape the immediate problem of the poisonous narrative which surrounds them, suggesting that Harry is manipulated by his wife. The couple understandably deplore this thinking. Well, of course it's a threat to control, seeing it as nothing short of unfounded misogynistic and racist trolling. Well, they're bound to ascribe it as such, even though, of course, she does manipulate him because she's a narcissist. Perhaps the best way to sum up this school of thought, which is commonplace in some internet circles, is to talk about the claw, the phrase critics of Harry's wife used to describe the hand she is in the habit of laying on his back, presumably to reassure him on public outings, or, more accurately, of course, to use physical means to assert control over him. A friend of the couple tells me that the pair are keen to halt this toxic theorizing, adding, "They usually leave each other to promote their own solo projects, so I don't really see Spare as anything different to, say, the podcast, which Harry's wife did magazine covers for, although wasn't that meant to be a podcast involving the two of them, but was just taken over by her. But we didn't really hear anything from Harry. Plus they did the Netflix series 4 weeks before the book came out, so that was her telling her part of the story already." He adds, "I know she's always been supportive of Spare, so I don't believe there to be a bigger story there, certainly no divide." Another source who knows the couple via broadcasting suggests Harry's wife's absence is part of a long-term approach to be a star in her own right. And her model for this? Well, their theory is Harry and Harry's wife are following the Obama playbook of former US President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle. It requires them to conduct public-facing engagements separately, so the woman can burnish her own reputation and escape the shadow cast by the established male figure. This could explain why Harry's wife laid flowers after a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, on her own, while Harry laid a wreath at Pearl Harbor without her last year. Well, all you need do is go to Parts Passim to understand precisely why she did as she did at Uvalde. The source added Harry's book deal doesn't involve Harry's wife. If she had been involved in promoting the book, it would have invited the usual misogynistic pile-on, particularly on social media. Or, perhaps put another way, people rightly criticising her behaviours. In those circumstances, the individual adds, you can understand why she wanted to duck out. But will she stay silent for long? That brings us to another part of the long-term PR plan. This one indicates that her absence on the Spare tour was in part to keep her powder dry for her own memoir. What an extraordinary and profitable story that promises to be. Harry's wife also has projects in development with Spotify and Netflix, although the scale and finance of these remain moot. In short, it's worth her keeping quiet now, with an eye to her future plans. All of these will inevitably involve her having her say once again about how impossible she found life inside the royal family, It's the story she has to tell and the currency she has to sell. There will, of course, be select public events which Harry and Harry's wife will attend together. The big focus for them as a couple this year is the Invictus Games in Düsseldorf, Germany, in September. I think you seem to have missed out the coronation of King Charles III there, but... However, the publication of Spare appears to mark a more nuanced phase for their public activities, one where they are not always seen as embodying those now notorious palm trees, and where that image of the claw is not available for online mockery. Anyone who has made it to the end of Harry's book, where he recounts what Harry's wife wrote in her journal after he helped at the birth of Lily, can be no doubt of how significantly she has strengthened him. The climax of the memoir is when she tells him, "That was everything. That is a man. That is not a spare." This is the validation he says he spent a lifetime failing to get from his family. And of course, I observe that he's fallen hook, line and sinker from in relation to the false flattery of a narcissist. The article ends, "And it's this strength which is powering them on to win over the world, and vitally yet more well-paid deals, both as a powerful pair and as a distinct solo personality." Well, this article, which has been fashioned by Alison Boshoff, really misses the mark, and is demonstrative of somebody who doesn't understand the way that a narcissist behaves. She has allowed him to promote Spare in order to allow him to make himself look stupid, as a consequence of the disclosures, many of which I have highlighted. Frostbitten penis being one of the major revelations that has come from it. The whinging, the complaining, the preoccupation with talking about his nether regions, the sniping at other members of his family, the sometimes loutish behaviour, the drug taking. All of this has been done to paint a particular picture of Harry, and she stood to one side, effectively giving him enough rope to do it. Her narcissism has decided that it's appropriate, because he's in devaluation, remember, he's in the sustained devaluation, that she just let him get on with it, that she let him drift, that she has nothing to do with him and she focuses on other matters. And then, of course, she is able to use all of this against him at a later juncture, as and when her narcissism dictates that it's appropriate to do so. It isn't the case of there being some grand strategy on her behalf, but rather simply her narcissism leading her to keep her distance from this publication for the purposes of achieving the prime aims herself. And it's all demonstrative of the way this journalist doesn't understand the way that a narcissist functions, and thinks that what she's doing is still being supportive of him and going through the steps that would assist him, when in actual fact the contrary is that she's allowing him to hang himself by putting out all of these things, and then at the appropriate time her narcissism will allow her to bring up the past, the things that he said, to use against him. The behaviour at the birth of one of the children, the drug taking, the temper tantrums, etc., all then to throw it back in his face. And this journalist doesn't understand the nature of the way that a narcissist works. What about those in the comments section? Do they see through it? Do they see what's been going on? Maurice Ponk writes, "Who cares? It's been so nice not seeing these two dead beats in the paper. Swan along, they are starting to fade. The A-list invites have not happened." Javisa, "I give them less than 1 year together. She has been a disgrace in all aspects, and Harry has shown his true colours." Woodstove, "We don't want to see or hear either of them around, period." Kanihini, "I do hope the king tells them both to stay away from his coronation." Georgina, "I just wish for them to go away forever." Had enough. 2023. Great article. I honestly don't think they can offer up anything relevant other than what they've been doing, and that's trashing the royals. I believe their dreams of grandeur won't go any further than where they are. There's enough hate in the world, and I think people are tired of hearing all the hate they spew. Mike Bunny adds, my cat just farted. Well, good for you, Mike Bunny. Everton 1, I'm surprised she lets him out of her sight. The man from Zanussi, I've just wasted 10 minutes of my life reading this. Why? Some of the observations from people who are evidently not convinced, but to believe that all of this is being done because she is being supportive demonstrates a lack of understanding of the way that the narcissist indeed does behave. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.